LeBron James was born on December 30, 1984 in Akron, Ohio. No one could have imagined that this little boy would one day become one of the greatest basketball players in history. His childhood was filled with uncertainty. His mother, Gloria James, was only 16 years old when he was born. She was still a teenager herself. She had no stable career, very little money, and almost no support. LeBron's father, Anthony McClelland, was absent from his life. LeBron grew up without knowing what it felt like to have a father at home. There were no father and son moments, no family vacations, no one teaching him how to play basketball. It was just LeBron and his mother trying to survive. Life was incredibly difficult. Gloria worked different jobs whenever she could find them. Some weeks she earned just enough to buy food. Other weeks, even paying the rent became impossible. There were times when the electricity was close to being disconnected. There were nights when the future seemed completely uncertain. The small family moved constantly, apartment after apartment, house after house. Sometimes they stayed with relatives, sometimes with friends, sometimes they had nowhere permanent to live. In some years, they moved several times. LeBron attended different schools because his family kept relocating. Making friends wasn't easy. Nothing in his childhood felt stable. Money disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. Every dollar mattered, every bill created stress, yet through every hardship, Gloria refused to give up. She believed her son had a special future. She constantly reminded him that poverty did not have to become his destiny. She sacrificed everything. She had to give him opportunities she never received herself. One decision would change everything. Seeing that LeBron needed stability, Gloria made an incredibly difficult choice. She allowed him to temporarily live with youth football coach Frank Walker and his family. It was one of the hardest decisions any mother could make, but she knew her son needed consistency if he was going to succeed. For the first time in years, LeBron experienced a more stable home. He could attend school regularly, focus on sports, and dream bigger than survival. Around that time, one basketball completely changed his life. LeBron spent every free moment with the ball in his hands. Before school, after school, until the sun went down. Then he wanted to keep playing. Basketball became more than entertainment. It became hope. It became purpose. It became an escape from poverty. Coaches immediately noticed something extraordinary. He wasn't just taller than other children. He wasn't just stronger. He was incredibly athletic. He could run faster than most players, jump higher, pass with amazing vision, and understand the game far beyond his age. People quickly realized they were watching someone different. Teachers talked about him. Neighbors talked about him. Local newspapers began writing about him. Soon, everyone in Akron knew the name LeBron James. Even as a young boy, he dominated games against older players. Crowds started gathering just to watch him play. Some coaches quietly whispered something that sounded impossible. This kid could play in the NBA one day. At first, it seemed like an unbelievable dream. How could a child growing up in poverty without a father moving from home to home ever become one of the world's greatest athletes? But LeBron never allowed his circumstances to define him. Every difficult day became motivation. Every obstacle became fuel. Every criticism pushed him harder. Years later, people would know him as an NBA champion, an Olympic gold medalist, a billionaire businessman, one of the greatest athletes in history. But before the fame, before the championships, before the fortune, he was simply a little boy from Akron. A boy who had almost nothing except one basketball, one determined mother, and one dream so big that it refused to be broken. Sometimes, the greatest legends don't begin with perfect opportunities. Sometimes they begin with impossible circumstances. By the time LeBron James entered Vincent Mary High School in Akron, people already believed they were witnessing someone extraordinary. He wasn't just another talented teenager. He was becoming a national phenomenon. Every season, he improved faster than anyone expected. He became taller, stronger, faster, more explosive. But what impressed coaches most wasn't his athletic ability. It was his basketball IQ. He saw passes that other players couldn't imagine. He made teammates better. He could score from anywhere on the court, and despite his size, he moved like a god. Soon, Local gyms were no longer large enough. Crowds packed every game. Thousands of fans filled the stands hours before tip-off. People traveled across different states just to watch a high school basketball player. Tickets sold out within minutes. Some games had to be moved to larger arenas because so many people wanted to attend. Television cameras followed him everywhere. National sports networks began broadcasting his games live. Newspapers wrote about him almost every week. Sports magazines placed him on their covers before he had even graduated. It was something almost unheard of for a high school athlete. Then came the headline that would follow him for years. On the cover of Sports Illustrated, LeBron was called the Chosen One. He was only 17 years old. Most teenagers worried about homework. LeBron carried the expectations of an entire nation. Millions believed he would become the future of basketball. Some compared him to Michael Jordan. Others believed he could become even greater. The pressure was almost impossible. Every game attracted NBA scouts, general managers, former players, celebrities, journalists. Some arenas looked more like professional NBA games than high school competitions. Every spectacular dunk appeared on television. Every highlight spread across America. Every mistake became national news. People expected perfection from someone who was still a teenager. Many young athletes would have collapsed under that pressure. LeBron stayed focused. He understood that talent alone wasn't enough. He trained before school. He trained after school. He studied the game. He worked on his shooting, his passing, his defense, his leadership. He wanted to improve every single day. His hard work paid off. LeBron laid Vincent married to 3 Ohio State championships. His team became one of the most famous high school basketball programs in the United States. During his senior season, he averaged over 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Scouts described him as one of the greatest high school prospects they had ever seen. The business world noticed as well. Major companies knew they were looking at a future superstar. Even before entering the NBA, enormous endorsement offers arrived. The biggest sports brands competed for his signature. In 2003, before playing a single professional game, LeBron signed a groundbreaking endorsement contract with Nike, reportedly worth about $90 million. It became one of the largest endorsement deals ever given to a rookie athlete. The teenager who had once worried about having enough money for food was suddenly signing contracts worth tens of millions of dollars. Yet LeBron never forgot where he came from. He still remembered moving from apartment to apartment, watching his mother struggle to pay bills, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Those memories became his motivation as graduation approached. There was no doubt about his future. Every NBA team dreamed of drafting him. Experts called him the best basketball prospect in decades. Fans believed a new era was about to begin. The entire basketball world waited for one date, the 2003 NBA draft, a night that would change LeBron James' life forever. The boy who had once escaped poverty with nothing but a basketball was about to become the biggest young star the sport had ever seen. In June 2003, everything changed. The NBA draft became one of the most anticipated in basketball history. Millions of fans watched live. Everyone already knew who would be selected first. The only question was how great he would become. With the first overall pick, the Cleveland Cavaliers selected 18-year-old LeBron James. For LeBron, it was much more than hearing his name called. It was the moment that transformed his family's life forever. The boy who had grown up moving from apartment to apartment, who had watched his mother struggle to pay rent, was now officially an NBA player. Before he had even played a single professional game, history was already being made. Major companies competed to sign him. Eventually, Nike won the race, offering LeBron a groundbreaking endorsement deal reportedly worth around $90 million over 7 years. It became one of the largest rookie endorsement contracts in sports history. The message was clear. The business world believed LeBron James wasn't just another athlete. He was a future global icon, but enormous contracts also created enormous pressure. Fans expected instant success. Media compared him to Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and other basketball legends before he had even played his first NBA game. Every move was analyzed. Every interview became headline news. Every mistake was broadcast across America. Many young stars had entered the NBA with huge expectations. Many failed, some disappeared completely. LeBron knew talent alone wouldn't be enough. He trained relentlessly, hours before practice, hours after practice. He studied opponents, worked on his shooting, improved his passing, strengthened his body. Every offseason, he returned stronger than before. His NBA debut immediately proved he belonged. He scored 25 points in his very first professional game. The basketball world was stunned. This teenager wasn't overwhelmed. He looked ready. By the end of his first season, LeBron averaged more than 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He was unanimously named NBA Rookie of the Year. The future had arrived. Season after season, he became even more complete. His scoring increased. His defense improved. His leadership matured. Soon, averaging 25 points per game became normal. Then 27, then nearly 30. He wasn't just scoring. He was controlling entire games. He could attack the basket with incredible power, finish impossible layups, throw thunderous dunks, deliver spectacular passes, and defend every position on the court. Opponents struggled to stop him. Fans filled arenas just to witness his performances. Whenever the Cavaliers visited another city, tickets sold out. Children wore his number. Adults admired his professionalism. Television ratings increased whenever LeBron played. His popularity exploded far beyond basketball. Every season brought new records. Youngest player to reach 1-0 points, then 5-0, then 10-0. He continued climbing every scoring list in NBA history. Financially, his success grew just as quickly. His NBA salary increased with every new contract. His endorsement portfolio expanded to include some of the world's biggest brands. Annual earnings climbed into tens of millions of dollars. He was no longer simply a basketball player. He had become one of the most marketable athletes on earth. But despite the fame and fortune, one goal remained unfinished. Individual awards were impressive. Money changed his family's future. Records made headlines. Yet LeBron wanted something much bigger. He wanted to become an NBA champion. However, that journey would prove far more difficult than anyone expected. The pressure grew every season. Critics questioned whether he could lead a team to the ultimate prize. Some even claimed he would never win a championship. LeBron listened, then went back to work, because he believed greatness wasn't measured by statistics. It was measured by championships, and the biggest challenges of his career were still waiting for him. By the end of the 2000s, LeBron James had already become one of the best basketball players on the planet. He won media awards. He broke records. He filled arenas wherever he played. His jersey became one of the best-selling in the NBA. Yet one thing was still missing: an NBA championship. Every season ended the same way. LeBron played brilliantly. The Cleveland Cavaliers reached the playoffs, but they fell short of the ultimate prize. The criticism became louder every year. Television analysts questioned him. Former players doubted him. Fans wondered if he could truly lead a team to a championship. Some critics even called him a player who could dominate the regular season but disappear when everything was on the line. The pressure became overwhelming. Then came one of the most controversial moments in sports history. In the summer of 2010, LeBron announced his decision during a live television special watched by millions. He said the words that shocked the basketball world: "I am taking my talents to South Beach." He was leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers to join the Miami Heat. Within hours, chaos erupted. Fans in Cleveland felt betrayed. Many burned his jerseys in the streets. Some tore down his posters. Others called him a traitor. The city that had supported him since childhood suddenly turned against him. The criticism spread across America. Sports talk shows discussed him every day. Newspapers attacked his decision. Social media exploded with anger. For a time, LeBron became one of the most criticized athletes in the world. Many believed his legacy had been destroyed forever. Even before playing his first game with Miami, enormous expectations surrounded the team. LeBron joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, creating one of the most talented trios basketball had ever seen. Fans expected championships immediately. Anything less would be considered failure. The pressure reached unbelievable levels. In 2011, Miami reached the NBA Finals. The championship was within reach. Instead, they lost. LeBron received some of the harshest criticism of his entire career. People questioned his mentality, his leadership, his ability to perform under pressure. Some even declared that he would never become a true champion. Many athletes would have broken under that pressure. LeBron didn't. He accepted responsibility, returned to training, worked harder than ever before. He improved every part of his game. His shooting, his footwork, his defense, his mental toughness. He transformed disappointment into motivation. 1 year later, everything changed. In 2012, the Miami Heat returned to the NBA Finals. This time, LeBron was unstoppable. He dominated both ends of the court. When the final buzzer sounded, LeBron James became an NBA champion for the very first time. He was named NBA Finals MVP. The years of criticism finally ended. But he wasn't finished. In 2013, Miami won another championship. LeBron captured a second consecutive NBA title, another Finals MVP, another season proving he belonged among basketball's greatest players. The boy who had once been told he would never win was now a two-time champion. Yet one promise remained unfinished. Back in Cleveland, fans still remembered the local kid who had loved. Many wondered if he would ever return. In 2014, LeBron made another historic decision. He announced he was coming home. He returned to the Cleveland Cavaliers with one goal: to bring an NBA championship to the city that had never won one. The journey wasn't easy. Cleveland reached the finals, but defeat came again. LeBron refused to quit. Then came 2016, the NBA Finals against the record-breaking Golden State Warriors, who had won 73 regular season games, the best record in NBA history. Golden State took a commanding 3-1 series lead. No team had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. Experts believed the series was over. The championship seemed impossible. LeBron believed otherwise. He delivered one legendary performance after another: 41 points, then another 41 points. Game 7, everything came down to one final night. Late in the fourth quarter, with the game tied, LeBron sprinted the length of the court to make one of the most famous defensive plays in basketball history: the block. Moments later, the Cavaliers took the lead. The final buzzer sounded. Cleveland had done the impossible. The city won its first NBA championship in franchise history. LeBron collapsed to the floor in tears. He cried. His teammates celebrated around him. Millions of fans across Cleveland filled the streets. After 52 years without a major professional sports championship, the city finally had its moment. For many basketball fans, it became the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. The championship wasn't just another trophy, it was redemption, it was forgiveness, it was the completion of a promise. The young boy from Akron had come home and delivered the championship his city had waited decades to see. Every critic who said he couldn't win, every person who believed he would never lead a team under pressure, every doubt, every headline, every insult, LeBron answered them all the same way, not with words, but with history. And yet his influence was about to grow far beyond basketball. The greatest business chapter of his life was only beginning. Winning championships wasn't the end of LeBron James' journey. It was only the beginning. Unlike many athletes, LeBron understood one important truth: a basketball career doesn't last forever. One injury, one bad season, one retirement, everything can change. He didn't want success to end when basketball ended. So while dominating the NBA, he quietly built one of the greatest business empires in sports history. LeBron wasn't just earning money, he was creating wealth, long-term wealth, generational wealth. One of his smartest decisions came early in his career. Instead of spending everything he earned, he invested. He studied successful entrepreneurs, read about business leaders, asked questions, learned how money works. He treated business the same way he treated basketball, with discipline, preparation, and patience. His partnership with Nike became one of the most valuable endorsement relationships in sports history. After years of success, LeBron signed a lifetime contract with Nike, reportedly worth more than $1 billion over its lifetime. Very few athletes in history have ever received such an agreement, but LeBron wanted much more than endorsements. He wanted ownership. He co-founded Spring Hill Company, a media and entertainment business producing films, documentaries, television shows, and digital content. The company partnered with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Its estimated valuation eventually reached hundreds of millions of dollars. He also launched Uninterrupted, a media platform giving athletes the opportunity to tell their own stories without traditional media controlling the narrative. The platform quickly became one of the most influential voices in sports media. LeBron invested in restaurants, technology companies, real estate, sports organizations, health and wellness businesses, entertainment, and many other industries. One of his smartest investments came in the early days of Blaze Pizza. Instead of accepting a traditional endorsement deal, LeBron purchased an ownership stake. As the company expanded across America, the value of his investment increased dramatically. He understood something many athletes never learn: money should work for you, not the other way around. His business portfolio continued growing every year. Luxury homes in Ohio, California, and other locations became part of his real estate investments. His properties were worth tens of millions of dollars. Off the court, LeBron also became one of the world's biggest advertising stars. Global companies wanted to work with him. His partners included Nike, Coca-Cola earlier in his career, PepsiCo, Beats by Dre, Walmart, Tikio Crypto, Com, and many other international brands. Every endorsement deal generated millions of dollars. But perhaps LeBron's greatest investment wasn't in business, it was in education. In 2018, he opened the I Promise School in his hometown of Akron. The school helps children from struggling families receive education, meals, transportation, counseling, and support. For many students, it offers opportunities their parents never had. LeBron often says that opening the school means more to him than winning championships, because changing lives lasts forever. Financially, LeBron reached extraordinary milestones. His NBA contracts earned him hundreds of millions of dollars. His endorsements added hundreds of millions more. His businesses continued growing. His investments appreciated. In 2022, LeBron officially became one of the first active NBA players to become a billionaire, according to financial estimates. His total career earnings surpassed $1 billion. The poor boy who once lived without a permanent home, who watched his mother struggle to pay rent, had become one of the richest athletes in history. Yet, despite all his success, LeBron never forgot where he came from. He often returned to Akron, supported local communities, donated millions of dollars to education, helped children believe that impossible dreams can become reality. Because LeBron understood something that money could never replace. True success isn't measured only by championships or by billions of dollars. It is measured by how many lives you change. The boy who once escaped poverty with a basketball had become much more than a player. He had become a businessman, an investor, a philanthropist, a billionaire, and one of the most influential athletes the world has ever seen. Years later, during a youth basketball event, a young fan stood up and asked LeBron James one simple question: "What made you successful?" The room became quiet. LeBron smiled. He thought for a moment. Then he answered, "My circumstances never decided my future. I could have become another statistic. Instead, I chose to become an example." The audience listened carefully. He continued, "Talent is a gift, but talent alone doesn't make you great. Discipline does, sacrifice does, consistency does, and believing in yourself when nobody else does." LeBron explained that championships aren't won only during the NBA Finals. They are won during the mornings when nobody wants to wake up, during the exhausting workouts that nobody sees, during the lonely nights when quitting seems easier than continuing, during the moments when failure feels closer than success. He reminded young athletes that life will never be fair. Some people begin with advantages, others begin with obstacles, but everyone chooses how they respond. LeBron knew exactly what that meant. He was the little boy who grew up without a father, the child who moved from one apartment to another, who never knew if his family would have enough money next month, who watched his teenage mother sacrifice everything so he could have a chance at a better life. He remembered sleeping in unfamiliar homes, changing schools. Feeling uncertain about tomorrow, those memories never disappeared. They became the fuel that pushed him forward every single day. Years later, the numbers became almost impossible to believe. More than 22 NBA seasons, over 40, 0 career points, becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. More than 10, 0 rebounds, more than 10, 0 assists. A level of all-around excellence never before seen in league history. For NBA championships, for NBA Finals MVP awards, for NBA Most Valuable Player awards, multiple Olympic appearances, 3 Olympic gold medals representing the United States, more than 20 NBA All-Star selections, hundreds of playoff games, thousands of unforgettable moments off the court. His achievements were just as remarkable: a billionaire businessman, a lifetime partnership with Nike, successful investments in entertainment, technology, restaurants, sports, and real estate, founder of the I Promise School, helping children from struggling families receive education and opportunities, millions of dollars donated to communities, thousands of young lives changed forever. LeBron often says that his greatest achievement isn't he a championship, it isn't he becoming a billionaire, it isn't he breaking scoring records. It is giving children hope, showing them that their past does not have to become their future. Today, LeBron James is remembered as far more than a basketball player. He became a global leader, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a role model, and one of the most influential athletes the world has ever known. His story teaches one unforgettable lesson: where you begin in life does not determine where you finish. Poverty does not define your future. Failure does not define your future. Criticism does not define your future. Only your choices do. One teenage mother, one little boy, countless struggles, years of sacrifice, thousands of hours of work, one impossible dream, and the determination to never give up. That determination didn't just change LeBron James' life. It changed basketball history forever, and it continues to inspire millions of people around the world to believe that no dream is too big if you are willing to work for it.